Welcome to the Well Said Podcast, the podcast for inspiring as well as aspiring authors and speakers. Now, here's your host, dynamic author and speaker, Cedric L. Threets.
What's going on, great people? Welcome once again to another edition of the Well Said Podcast. Hey, and you know why I call you great people? Because somebody's got to be great today. It might as well be you. Hey, today I am so thrilled to have a friend of mine who is doing some outstanding work in our community, and not just in our community, but nationwide. This gentleman, I know you're going to be blessed by what he has to share. I am so thrilled that he has taken time out of his busy schedule to come onto the Well Said Podcast. So I'm going to get started with the interview, but before I do, you know what you need to do. You got to hit that like button to subscribe. You've got to hit the notification bell. You've got to upload and download it, share it, and all that good stuff. My guest today is a very dear friend. I call him Triple V, and you'll know why in a second. But his name is Valton Johnson. And Valton, he is a native of Birmingham, Alabama, whose presence is both commanding and charismatic, always impeccably dressed. He walks through the streets with an unmistakable air of confidence, and his deep, rich voice resonates with authority and warmth. Valton embodies the spirit of Birmingham, a city rich in history and culture. His journey was a blend of personal resilience and artistic prowess and unwavering commitment to service, and it has equipped him with the unique ability to impact lives in profound ways. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you my dear friend. I call him Triple V. His name is Valton Johnson, but I call him Triple V. And the other V stand for Velvet Voice. So I call him Velvet Voice Valton. This is my friend, my mentor, my buddy. He is awesome, guys. Welcome to the Well Said Podcast, Valton. How you doing, man?
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for having me. I know we've missed the time or two, but we're here now.
We are here now, man, and I am so excited. I really appreciate you coming on, and I know you're busy with a lot of things going on. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about what's going on? I'm hearing some great things about something called Dundrill Heights. Why don't you tell the good people about Dundrill Heights?
Well, again, I want to say thank you for having me on, and hello to all of your listening audience and those who may view this. I'm very appreciative to have this opportunity to use this platform as my pulpit, because typically we'll use a pulpit as preaching terms, but I like to pull people's mind from the pit of what they may be dealing with, whether we're going into something, coming out of something, or in something.
Right.
Help getting pulled from that pit. And I believe that's what God has called me to do. So when you speak of Dundrill Heights was a sermon that I preached 26 years ago, and actually was entitled Next of Kin. When we look at 1 Thessalonians 4:13, it says, and the dead in Christ shall do what? Rise first. In order for that to happen, you must be kin to Christ. Hence the term next of kin. So when Moses died in Jude 9, it says, and yet Michael, the angel, fighting with Satan over the body of Moses, Moses died. Michael showed up because God dispatched him. Satan showed up because he said, I want his body, because he struck the rock rather than speaking to it. That's disobedience. And he killed an Egyptian. So they both showed up as the next of kin. As it's going to be the case when we pass away, our next of kin must come and identify our bodies. So when I wrote that sermon, the Holy Spirit said, now make it a play. Well, I waited, said, for 25 years. And one morning, God woke me up. He said, I gave you an assignment. Get it done. I knew exactly what he was talking about. So I went on Facebook and I said, can somebody help me write a play? Well, this young man responded to the call. We met, wrote the play, practicing the play. I had actors coming out to Pleasant Grove High School every weekend, and we're practicing. 1 week before we're going to the stage, the pastor of Sixth Avenue Baptist Church called and says, pandemic is shut it down. We can't do it. Everything is being closed down. So the Lord said, make it a movie. Well, you just shut it down as a play. Why would I do that? And he responded, don't wait 25 years.
Mm.
So those very same actors or people that are now actors because they were doing me a favor
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning, and we shot it as a movie. And 30 minutes, it was fine. So I threw it up on YouTube, and about a week it got legs. So we were reaching over 1,500 views and all this sort of stuff. So I said, you know what? Let's write episode 2. So now it's become an episodic, not just a 30-minute show.
Wow.
So I shot episode 2, and it was doing whatever it was doing. So I just let it ride for a minute. And I was speaking at a school, Carver High School in Birmingham, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about something the students weren't interested in, air quality. And they said, we're not interested in this, basically. The teacher put in Dundrill Heights with YouTube because I had to change the name from Next Again to Dundrill Heights because it got a little larger.
Okay.
And so the teacher put in Dundrill Heights, and they were like, Mr. Johnson, how can we get involved? You did this? I said, yeah. So the Lord downloaded to me, have a film camp. So I called my wife after I spoke to these children, and I said, we've got to have a film camp. And she said, what do you mean? I told her, these are the things we're going to do: teach screenwriting, acting, voiceover, cameras, how to conduct yourself before a camera, how to speak before a camera, lighting, all these things we're going to do. Well, okay. So I reached out to the community, and we got all these people to come and help us. I called Terry Harville at the YMCA. She said, I love this idea. Let's do it over here. So for the last 4 years, I'm glad to say, we have done the Dundrill Heights Spring Break Film Camp during spring break for the Birmingham-Jefferson County area students.
Wow. That's awesome. And now, so you mentioned so many things in your opening statement there. You mentioned, and you guys, you hear that voice, right? I told you, the velvet voice Valton is what I call it. But he trust me, he uses his powers for good. He doesn't use them for evil. He uses them for good. But you mentioned it started out as a play, and the play was shut down, and then it went from being a play to being a full-blown movie.
Well, series.
And now you've got episodes and all of that. And that's a testament, people, to when one door closes, another door opens.
Oh, that's right.
And see, I told you guys that I would have different people on the podcast. We weren't going to be, it is the podcast for inspiring authors and speakers, inspiring and aspiring authors and speakers, but filmmakers is another aspect of being an author, being a writer, being a speaker, being a creator. You hear his voice. You also mentioned voiceovers. Now, tell us about your career in voiceovers.
Yeah, so my experience in voice work actually came when I was with Virginia College back in 2000. Rush Limbaugh heard me speak, of all people.
Rush Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh.
Wow.
And he contacted a local radio station, find that person who's doing that commercial for Virginia College. And they found me. And from there, I started doing commercials for the airport, for the Birmingham Transit Authority, for the World Games. I did that stint there. And now I have been selected and chosen to be the national voice for Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated Public Safety.
Wow.
Whenever you go anywhere where there's a Kappa meeting, you'll hear my voice telling people about the safety of the room and the conference in which we're meeting about. I am a member of that great fraternity. Yo to the brothers. So, yeah.
Divine Nine.
Yeah, the Divine Nine. Yeah. So we are a part thereof. So voice work is unique within itself. Many people say I sound a lot like Michael Clark Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hired by an aeronautics company in Utah. They wanted me to do all of their phone systems from uh, uh, what do they call it? Happy New Year to
Mm-hmm.
hello, it's Valentine's Day to Easter to I did all of their stuff from January to December and just recorded it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out very, very well for us
Yeah.
both. They got a great product and I got a great check. So the funny thing about being a voice actor is that many people think that I can do different voices. You know, they'll call and say, "Hey, can you sound like Morgan Freeman?" No, Morgan Freeman's register is not as deep as mine. But if you want me
Mm-hmm.
to do Michael Clark Duncan, I can do that. You know what I mean? But really, you know what I mean? But my love has really been working with young people. That's what I enjoy the most.
Mm-hmm.
Being a youth pastor, leading up to, I was director of human resources and training for PEMCO Aviation, and our CEO said, "Hey, listen, we're losing a lot of people because of attrition. You know, we are hiring a lot of guys out of the Air Force that have already retired the Air Force. Now, when they get to us, they're 50 years old. They got 10 years to work for us and they want to retire, right?" So he said,
Mm-hmm.
let's come up with something. So we came up with what was called homegrown. And the model for homegrown is this. We go to a high school and ask the superintendent of school systems to allow us to get the 11th graders coming in for the senior year to the facility. We'll teach them and train them everything aviation. And then we have a year for them to be with us. Then they graduate high school, they graduate our program, and we give them a job. We're hiring kids, man, at $70,000 a year, 18
Mm.
years old.
Wow.
So I took that same model that I created there and I'm building the film structure.
Okay.
Okay. So what we find is that our children don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Okay. So when I go places and I tell people, they say, "Oh, you have great voice." I said, "Have you ever heard Welcome to Verizon Wireless?" They're like, "Yeah." Well, you're looking at it, right? So they want to now become a part of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
We bring these children in and we teach them things that I aforementioned, screenwriting, acting, voiceover, ballet. We this year had stunt acting
Mm.
introduced. We had a Marvel Studios stunt actor come to Birmingham, Alabama at the YMCA and taught stunt acting to our children.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep. And in fact, Alessandro Facetta is his name. He will
Mm-hmm.
be here in June for the Magic City Youth Film Festival.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now tell us about the film festival. We're here getting to the end of May and getting ready to go into June. Tell us about the film festival that's coming up in
Yeah, so
June.
sure. And let me back up so I can prelude into this. So over the last 4 years, the city of Birmingham came to one of our camps because what we do is we take the young people through the training 4 days.
Hmm.
Then there are the screenwriters, there are the actors, there's all these people in each group, and they must create their own film. They must act their own film. They must write their own film and shoot their own film.
Hmm.
Those groups of people collectively compete their films against one another. So
Yeah.
what we decided to do, well, because we've done this for the last 4 years, and because City of Birmingham Board of Education came on, we've done 17 film camps in 4 years,
Wow.
1,600 kids, 1,600 kids been
Wow.
impacted. All right. So we said, let's do a film festival and see what these young people learned.
Hmm.
That's what we decided to do last June. We launched the Magic City 205 Youth Film Festival, where our children, our students, our scholars can create a film no more than 5 minutes long, submit it to youthfilmfest.org, and we're downloading all that. And we're going to have this event on June 28th and 29th at
Hmm.
the Carver Theater. So what
Okay.
happens?
Go ahead.
Yes. So what happens is we're going to show all these film on the 29th, but on the 28th, we have coming to the stage Jen Harper from Zatima. Jen plays the mom to Zach Duvall Ellis, right? So she'll
Hmm.
be here from Greenleaf. We got Javon Johnson from the Oval. He plays Richard Harrison, Richard something on the Oval as the butler. We have LaParie Young coming in. He plays on Daddy's Little Girls, Greenleaf, Color Purple, and the Johnsons. We have Carl Anthony Payne, and you know who that's from.
Hmm.
Rockroach and Cole Brown, right? And we also have Alessandro, as I stated. But we have those actors coming to Birmingham to be with us on Saturday night at the Actors Reception and private auction, okay, silent auction. We have things to auction like Versace bag, okay, a talking about a $2,000 purse.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten donated. We have a painting of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant.
Wow.
Basketballs that have been autographed by professional ball players.
Mm-hmm.
Golf hats, baseballs, all these things are going to be auctioned on Saturday the 28th, and the tickets are only $30.
Wow.
It's going to be a fully catered, heavy hors d'oeuvre type of meal, 5 o'clock p.m. And you can call me at 205-370-7805 to get your ticket. That's the only way you can get it is going through me. And then the 29th, we will have the screening of all the film beginning at 10 a.m. until 1:30. Then we clear the Carver Theater. Everybody goes home, take a shower, put on a little cologne, throw on a tuxedo, because now said, we're about to have the Magic City 205
Uh-oh.
Film
Uh-oh.
Festival
Uh-oh.
Award Show. And I'll tell you, the award show is going to be off the chain, brother.
Yeah. So is this going to be a red carpeted black tie event?
It is a red carpet black tie event, yes.
Wow. Wow. So you're bringing the Oscars to Birmingham.
Sure, that's right. In fact, we're calling it the Dundrills.
Okay.
Because it's connected to Dundrill Heights. Everything I do, is connected to that name. And I must give a shout out to that name's owner. So growing up, the young lady didn't like that name. It was her middle name. And I didn't know her middle name until we were down the aisle. My bride's name is La Cherie Dundrill Johnson. So I took her name because what we did was I asked her if I could use her name because when I had the concept of the movie, I wanted to film it in Texas. Okay. But Birmingham is my Texas.
Okay.
So, but what do you do in Texas? You drill. Her name is Dundrill, Dundrill. So we're calling it, welcome to Dundrill Heights. Dundrill Heights is found in Dundrill, Texas, a fictitious town.
Yeah.
So if you remember In the Heat of the Night, that was Sparta, Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
There was no place called Sparta, Mississippi.
Right.
That was filmed in Conyers, Georgia.
Okay.
And incidentally, Jen Hopper is in the Heat of the Night. She worked with Carol O'Connor. Right. So going back and the folks that are in my sphere are phenomenal people.
Yeah.
And they're very kind folks. I was on Jen called me at 3 or 4 o'clock the other morning to tell me something. And then Tony Vaughn and Tony is going to be here too. I forgot to mention Tony. Tony Vaughn is the colonel for Meet the Browns.
Okay.
Tony will be in Birmingham as well. Yeah. So I talked to Tony earlier today. So I mean, all these cats are just cool, man. They're just cool. So they're going to be here celebrating our young people, mingling in the crowd, taking pictures, signing autographs, doing whatever for 2 days.
Yeah. That is so awesome.
Yeah. And incidentally, those folks are in my show, Dundrill Heights.
Okay.
We just signed off on another network picking it up. So episodes 3 and 4 have now been sent away and they're being uploaded to the new network. We got 4 episodes out there. We're getting ready to start filming 5 and 6. That'll be a full season. We got the contract to go ahead and do 7 through 13.
Awesome. So now you mentioned the new network coming up. What networks is it on right now?
Currently, it's on Amazon Prime, Tubi, and Reveal.
Okay.
And the new network is Jaro, Jaro.
Okay.
Jaro. And they're all independents. Tubi is probably one that's well known. I think Amazon Prime is probably more known than Tubi.
Right.
But I think they're probably neck and neck. But Jaro is coming on strong.
Man, that is so awesome. And
thank you.
What I really love about it is it's all about the young people.
Yes, sir.
It's all about the youth. Matter of fact, when I first met you years ago, I met you as a result of you're doing something else that we could talk about here. This little character called Idol Eddie. Tell the people a little bit about Idol Eddie.
So Idol Eddie came about because I do a lot of work with RPC, the Regional Planning Commission of Birmingham, with Charles Ball and Elisa Williamson and Ashley, and that whole family up there has just been great. And so for the last 14 years, I've been working with them on air quality. And I created a cartoon character. His name is Idol Eddie. shape, which is a stop sign. And I have a car and a plume of smoke coming out of the back of it. It says, "Don't idle Eddie, emissions are harmful." So when you look at the data that Alabama Asthma Coalition provides, it shows that our children have missed 14 million hours of school, 14 million school hours because of asthmatic challenges, respiratory problems, and things of that nature. And that's a United States issue, but it's broken down per state, and then it's broken down even further per city, per county, per school, so we can identify the areas where there's pollution is high versus being pollution low in other areas within our state, within our city, within our county, within our school district. So when I did Idle Eddie, I presented it and I said, "Hey, listen, why don't we do this?" They said, "What are you going to do it?" I said, "I'm going to go to every school. You're going to do that." But I already had the blueprint. I did homegrown back in 2000. So it's the same model. Go to the superintendent. Can I come in your schools and talk to all 42 of your schools about air quality? And so now we are in 118 schools in districts, and we have over 90,000 students we're talking to annually about air quality and making sure parents and children understand the same message. Because when I go into the classroom and my staff go into the classroom and talk about air quality, we're talking about the things that we get information from the Alabama Asthma Coalition, the United States Asthma Coalition, Jefferson County Health Department, things of that nature that impacts the very people we're talking to, right? And so when we talk to the students in class, we're also outside talking to parents, because when they pull up at 2 o'clock, they're going to let their cars run in April and it's 80 degrees.
Yeah.
That's ozone challenges.
Right.
And you got your children come outside, and what are they doing? They're coughing because you got 60 cars that's been on for the last hour and pollution is circulating. So it's been a win-win situation. We've seen that number 14 million come down to 10 over the last about 11 years.
Okay.
So it's being impactful.
Yeah.
Really been impactful.
Yeah.
So that's what I love. Again, it's all children related. Children related.
All children related, man, and definitely making an impact. Definitely making an impact. So where we talked about the start and how you got it going and how what you're into now. Where is Dundrill Heights going to be, say, in the next 5 years?
Hopefully it'll be in somebody else's hands. You just write me a check and I can just sell off into the sunset, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It's wherever the Lord decides for it to go. It really is. You know, so many times we try to navigate and direct our path.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do.
Right.
I want him to direct my path because I'm limited in my thinking.
Right.
Because of him that I move, live, and have my very being. He has all power, and he just drops things in my mind all the time. And I have to write that stuff down, man, because, you know, it says in Proverbs 16:3, commit thy works into the Lord. He will establish your thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. So you better be ready to catch them thoughts when he give them, write them down, bro, you know, and rehearse them, you know, because they become your talking points. So what I see Dundrill Heights doing in my small and limited imagination is I'll write the next several series and try to get them more Bible-based. Because to be honest with you, to be totally transparent with you and your crew, we started out the message with, "I will not have you to be ignorant, brother, concerning those who have fallen asleep." That's how that movie comes on. But what happens over into the movie is that our mental challenges about thinking about other people affected it. Let me share with you what I mean. So we have a thought process that Valton is doing something. We know he's doing something, but if he dies, I bet he go to hell. Okay? That's how we think. We think, oh, we see that guy over there drinking that beer or smoking a joint or whatever he's doing. We just doomed him to hell automatically. So that's what has happened in this show. So this guy, he has a wife, he has a girlfriend, and he has a boyfriend. The wife and he are having dinner. He gets up, says, "I got to go and see this friend of mine." He goes to his girlfriend's house. He leaves his girlfriend's house, goes to his boyfriend's house. Didn't know the girlfriend followed him. He runs over him when he comes out. So automatically we think he's going to die, right? So, but when the play was that he was lying on his gurney. He asked the doctor, "Is there a pastor in the house? I want to be prayed for." Pastor says no. I mean, the doctor says no. He's busy with another family. So he then begins to commune with God himself. Lord, I'm sorry. Please forgive me for my sins. Beep. He flatlines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we think because we see a person doing something that we wouldn't necessarily do or what we would call a sin,
Right.
we doom them to hell. But we don't really know what that person's heart is.
We
Okay.
don't.
So when I wrote that script, I could see that I started going away from the biblical aspects of it. I started having strippers and all these other things because, again, this is real life.
Right.
This is real life. But I keep the element of Christianity in it, but I want to start veering back towards more Christianity in the next couple of episodes because it's going to open up for some more interesting dialogue. And I hope people will take the body of work that I'm doing and have a conversation about it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because it's happening in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is.
We have things going on in the church that are related to homosexuality.
Right.
That's related to adultery.
Mm-hmm.
That's related to having multiple relationships, even if it's with women or
Right.
men, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
We have those things, but we do not talk about it.
Right.
In the very we don't address the sickness in the hospital.
Exactly.
Okay. We don't address the sickness in the hospital.
Right. Right.
We pretend it don't exist.
We would rather just brush it all under the rug and come in here like everything's okay and hunky-dory. When we go out, we're still the same person we were when we came in.
That's right.
And then when we go out and face the world Monday morning or Sunday morning after that or whatever, we're still in the same mess. So it's
same
interesting
condition.
that you are addressing issues that are relative to people that people can actually relate to, because so many people, we sit there in church and we want to make it look like everything's okay. I always use myself as an example. I go in there dressed up with a smile on my face, but I just finished arguing with my wife in the car before we got there. So we go through those things, and it's interesting. I want you to tell me, because I watched an episode and I saw this familiar face of this guy. He had this little funny wig on. I think he was the funeral director or something. How did that happen? That's who I want to talk about. I want to talk about that guy.
You want to talk about Kevin Jaboombas. So about a year and a half ago, I'm always messing with my wife. I'm always doing something to her. And she's so fun loving. So she said, "Stop, Jaboombas." And I was like, and she would say that. She'd say, "Good night, Jaboombas." And I was like, let me see if that's a real name. So I Googled it and it's not.
Okay.
So I copywrote the name.
Okay.
Okay. So, and I created a character called Kevin Jaboombas. And he's from Cairo and Johannesburg, with offices in Texas, Georgia, and Alabama. And he's a funeral director, and he's over there in Dundrill, Texas, maintaining his insurance company and funeral home. So I have a character called Kevin Jaboombas that I act out, and I need to bring him back on the next episode. Thank you for that.
I was loving the wig he had on. I thought that was so cool.
So a movie critic saw that episode. Bless you. A movie critic saw that episode, and he wrote a blog about it.
Okay.
He actually wrote a blog about Dundrill Heights. He was like, Valton is reading this thing and yada, 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 yada. And then he breaks out with this wig and this eye patch. He said, "I nearly lost it." So, man, I tell you, I'm having a lot of fun with this.
That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. I am glad you're having so much fun.
Thank you.
And that's what this is all about. That's what the Well Said podcast is all about.
Good.
Again,
and congratulations on it, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, because this has been something, like you said, it starts here and it goes here, and it starts with these things coming in your mind. And this is something it's been on my heart for the last 3 or 4 years, and I just never did. And I said, this year I am going to do it, man.
Well, I'm glad you did.
I'm just going to get out there and do this thing, because what I want to do is showcase other people and let the world know what other people are doing. It's not about me. I call this my Elsie, is what I
Your
call it.
Elsie.
My Elsie. And I call it Elsie because so many times everybody's taking what's called selfies. We we got that phone turned to
Yeah.
ourselves. We're taking selfies. Well, I
Yeah.
want to turn the phone around on somebody else. That's why I
Elsie.
call it an Elsie.
Wow.
So this is my
Wow.
way of doing that, of showcasing other people, letting
Mm-hmm.
them talk about their platform and what they're doing, because this is amazing, man, to see somebody here in Birmingham doing what you're doing and
Thank you, man.
impacting so many people. And you've got these world-renowned actors coming in and joining you saying, hey, I want to be a part of this,
Yeah.
because they see and they recognize the impact that this thing
Mm-hmm.
is making. Because again, I keep going back to the children. It's all about our youth and
Yep.
doing these things,
Absolutely.
because we can talk all day about what's going wrong with our
Mm-hmm.
youth. But when
Right.
we can get in here, man, and actually do something about it, that's why I tell people, that's why I write children's books. That's
And you
why
do
I
a
like
great
to
job too, man. You
thank
do a
you,
great
thank
job
you.
with that.
That's why I like to go out to the schools and do the presentation. I tell them, this is my small way of doing something about the problem, as opposed to just sitting around talking about it.
Right.
This is your way of doing something, man, impacting. Think of how many kids are going to become screenwriters because of
Yeah.
what you're doing. They
Yeah.
may become cameramen, they may become actors, they may become producers, and all of that.
Right.
You're
Right.
showing them that it can be done. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
beauty
Mm-hmm.
of this, man. I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking about the next step for our film festival and film camps. And it's not enough just to, in my
Hmm.
experience and the way I preview it, we have to add some element of employment to this thing.
Hmm.
But what I'm going to do now is add how to build certain things
Okay.
and bring in the union to
Hmm.
teach it.
Yeah.
Because if the union teaches it, now the
Hmm.
young person gets a union card.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the next step.
Okay.
Because ultimately we will see it may not be the Dundrill Heights movie series or anything like that, but we are going to have a film academy.
Okay.
I'm speaking that into existence, and everybody, I want you to pray for me on it.
Man, I'm in total agreement with you there, brother.
Yeah, we're gonna
I
do
am
that.
in agreement with you on that,
Thank you.
because that's something else that could just catapult people into
Right.
so many areas, man. And
Yeah.
that's what this thing is all. This is what I call real kingdom building.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
this is kingdom building. This is doing something and showing people, like I said earlier, that it can be done. So many people out there, they may want to do this kind of stuff, but they don't feel like they can do it. But when they see
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's actually doing this thing, and somebody from their own hometown, somebody who
Mm-hmm.
looks just like they do, they think, wow, man,
Right.
it is possible.
And when you talk about kingdom building, let me tell you what has happened. We ended film camp March 31st.
Hmm.
The following week, since then
Hmm.
until last weekend, we have had children calling every weekend, can we go to church with you?
Wow.
Okay. So what we decided to do was create the Dundrill Heights Film Club.
Okay.
So all of the 40 children that went through our program this past March, we're
Hmm.
staying together, staying
Okay.
together.
Yeah.
And what we're doing now is creating, or have done because we already issued the first one, we
Hmm.
created a newsletter highlighting what we're going to do.
Okay.
Okay. So this next newsletter that's going out June 1 is going to highlight nothing but the film festival.
Hmm.
In July, we'll talk about what happened during the 4th of July and that sort of thing. Then we'll back to school in August, September. Then we get ready to go down to the State House as a film club to be recognized by the
Okay.
legislature. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Those are the things we have to expose our children to. When we talk about building the kingdom, this is not the
Hmm.
kingdom for Val, this is the kingdom of God.
Yeah,
Right? He's
exactly.
just put you and I as conduits to plug into these films.
That's it.
young people.
That's
You know,
it.
you're glowing these kids' lives
Mm-hmm.
because you're putting all that energy into them from the books that you're writing.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right. And
so
that's the thing,
so
man. We wanna make an impact. I call it I have what I call a 3N philosophy when
mhm,
I'm talking to teachers. I want them to enlighten the kids, and I want them to inspire the kids. And then talk about the M philosophy, where I want them to help them improve, but I also want them to empower them, and most importantly, to make an impact,
yep,
because that's what it's all about. It's all about making that impact. Because I always say the difference between kid A and kid B is exposure, and
exactly,
that could be good or bad.
right,
But
right,
and that's the beauty of what you're doing right now. You are exposing these kids to something that they've never seen, they've never dreamed of. When they
right,
get that exposure and see that it can be done, it just opens up a whole new world to a
yeah,
man.
yeah,
And to me,
yeah.
there's nothing like it.
It's really not. You know, I was on Channel 42 um, Thursday, no Friday, past
Hmm.
Friday, and I called one of my students' parents and I said, "Would you mind if Navette Shepherd or your son go with me?"
Hmm.
He had him dressed, and he, you know, and they mic'd him up on Channel 42,
Yeah.
and they asked him a question, and he was spot on. You know, and that's the kind of stuff we have to put in front of our children so
Right.
they won't be stage fright. They won't
Hmm.
mumble through a conversation.
Right.
They
Right.
won't say it so low you can't hear them and
Hmm.
understand them. You know, he
Hmm.
spoke right up because
Yeah.
that's one of the things, man. If you're gonna hang around me, I got to be able to understand what you're saying. It ain't no yeah, no, no, all that kind of no, sir, no, no, no. We're gonna get it out, baby. We're
Yeah.
gonna get it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And see, that brings me to something else that's on my heart that I got to do, and we'll talk about that later,
Hmm.
because I've got to get this thing going. But it has something to do with communication skills, because
Okay.
I'm real big into Toastmasters. I used to be
Yeah.
a Toastmaster, and I actually facilitated a Toastmasters club in a prison.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my buddy and I, we would be in a room with no guards. We would be in a room with about 85 of what people consider hardened criminals.
Hardened criminals. Hmm.
We would be in the room with them by ourselves, and these guys, they wouldn't be challenging each other to a fight. They would be challenging each other to a speech contest.
Wow.
And
Mm.
it was so powerful just to see how their self-esteem would just rise simply by us helping them with their communication skills. And
Right.
that's something else that's on my heart. What I want to do is,
Hmm.
if I can do this in a prison, I can do it in a middle or high school, where
Right.
maybe these kids won't pick up a knife or a gun. They'll
Hmm.
challenge each other to a speech contest.
Right. Right.
Because the thing about any sort of violence or whatever confrontation, it's just all about communications.
That's all it is, man. That's
That's
all
all
it
it
is.
is.
Yep. You know, and to duplicate yourself,
Mm-hmm.
write the curriculum,
Yeah.
and then contract it to the colleges and let them teach.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll talk about that
Yeah.
offline.
We'll talk, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tell you, I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
We could talk for hours,
I
man.
know, right? I know.
It's
And
always a pleasure
well,
having you,
thank you, man.
man. Yeah, every
Yeah.
time I see you, you're always glowing, and
Yeah.
you're coming into the building where I work,
Yeah.
and it's like the whole room just lights up when
You're
you
very
get
kind,
there,
man.
man. Because
And it's because I get to see you, man. Come on now. You mentioned talking about I'm your mentor. You're my mentor. Hey, iron sharpens iron, right?
That's
Iron
it,
sharpens
man.
iron. That's
And
what it
and
is.
that's what we do. That's what we do. Tell the people, man, give your phone number again,
Sure.
and give the networks, give your website and all that good stuff, man. Let the
Sure.
people know how they can maybe get in touch with you if they want to get
Yeah.
involved, or
Yeah.
if they just want more information. Let them know how
Yeah.
they can do that.
Yeah, thank you for that. And so, one thing I did not mention is that I'm also the executive uh, director for the Nadine G. Johnson Foundation. Right.
Okay.
My mother passed away of ALS, so I created a foundation in her name, her legacy. Right. So the Nadine G. Johnson Foundation and my company, Cinematic Creations, is really putting on the Magic City Youth Film Fest.
Okay.
Next year, this thing is going to blow your socks when I tell you who's coming. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. But ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in having your children to participate in the Magic City 205 Youth Film Fest, just simply call me, 205-370-7805. Although the submissions have to be in by the 31st of May, been on the website, which is youthfilmfest.org and cinematicCreations.agency. Youthfilmfest.org or cinematicCreations.agency. And again, you feel free to call me. I don't mind. 205-370-7805. As long as you're calling me about business and not pleasure. It's about business and not pleasure. I do not entertain foolishness.
Right.
I'll tell you that right off the rip.
Right.
Business only, please. 205-370-7805. And God bless you.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much, man, for coming on to the Wells. Again, everything he said was well said.
It was well said. I love it. Yeah.
Well, hey, guys, what can I say? Another great episode of the Well Said podcast. I mean, if you weren't blessed by this one, I don't know. We'll have to check your pulse or something but it has been so awesome. I really want to thank my guest, Valton Johnson, for coming on and just sharing all the great works that he's doing in our community and around the country and around the world, because this thing has global impact. This is awesome. So awesome. I really appreciate it.
Brother. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, man. And hey, guys, again, you know what you got to do? You got to hit that like button. You got to hit that subscribe button. You got to keep being great. Why? Because somebody's got to be great today, and it might as well be you. Take care.
That's right. Take care, y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Well Said podcast. Tune in next time for another exciting and informative edition. If you need help on how to become an author or speaker, contact Cedric at cedrictreat.com. And thanks again for listening to the Well Said podcast.